Hello, and welcome everyone to the 8th official episode of a Better Magic podcast brought to you by Team Better Magic out of beautiful Indianapolis, Indiana. This is your co-host, Jared. I'm joined today by two of our buddies. I've got Jeremy and Nick on the line. Say hi, guys.
I don't know what you
Hello.
mean, beautiful Indianapolis. Place
Yeah,
sucks.
I don't know about
What?
that.
I love Indianapolis, man.
It is better than Cleveland, though.
It is better. Indianapolis, you heard it here, folks. Indianapolis is better than Cleveland. We will
I don't
take you on that point any day of the week. So.
I don't know what's worse than Cleveland, to be honest. I guess maybe Detroit.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess it isn't much of a win. All right, so now that we've established that Indianapolis is clearly better than Cleveland, what the heck are we going to talk about today, guys? You know that the full spoilers are out for Dragons of Tarkir, the last third set in the three-block paradigm that we're ever going to have. That's crazy. That is insane. This is the last time we're going to have three sets that are tied together thematically in a block ever, pretty much, well, in our lifetimes, right, in the history of Magic, which is super crazy, and it's a large set. So there's a whole lot of cards to talk about. A lot of the podcasts out there talk about all of them. We're not going to do that. We're just going to pick some ones that we think are our favorites. But yeah, it's the full spoilers are out, guys. How do you feel about this set?
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't know how I feel about the set entirely. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not on the bandwagon yet of Dragons itself, but
Haters gonna hate.
I don't hate it. I just don't know what I really feel about it.
And ain'ters gonna ain't.
Ainer's gonna ain't. The more I actually look at these cards in this set kind of as a whole, the more it feels to me like older Magic felt. Like it feels kind of, it has like an Onslaught kind of vibe to me, like just powerful creatures that do big, high mana cost stuff and some really cool spells that are super unique. And like I said, it feels a lot more like old school Magic to me than sets have for the last like 10 years. So I don't know. I'm super excited for it. But we're going to talk about that. We also just got back. One of the reasons we had both Jeremy and Nick on today to talk with all you guys and talk with me is because we just got back from GP Cleveland. And we had a ton of fun, met a lot of really awesome people. So I really want to spend a lot of time talking about our experiences there. And I really personally think GPs are getting better and better as the player base grows and as the game continues to be, well designed. So it's going to be exciting to talk about that. And then kind of to wrap it all up, we're going to talk about gearing up for your local Dragons of Tarkir pre-release. Because that is coming up. We are actually recording this on the Thursday before the pre-release, you guys. So we'll be talking about the things we look forward to going into that. They're doing some cool experiential design stuff. There's like a dice game you get with this awesome looking die, and you get to actually win promo cards. So that's pretty interesting. And the play of this sealed environment, I think, is actually going to be drastically different than it was when we had Fate Reforged and Con. So I'm actually super excited to talk a little bit about that. So are you guys excited? You guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right, man. Let's do it. Nick, you ready, dude?
Yeah, I suppose.
You sound so excited.
Oh, you sound so excited, buddy.
It's like, yeah,
like,
I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're just going to talk about
It's like how so excited you were to go to day 2.
Oh, snap. Throwing down the gauntlet. So let's talk about that. Okay, so this last weekend, but from the 13th to the 15th, Team Better Magic, we brought 4 of our guys down. So it's Jeremy and Nick. You guys are with me in the car with our buddy Sam, which you guys haven't heard yet, but he's kind of another resident limited expert. He's very good. And we all went over to Cleveland. We're in Indianapolis, so we went over, right? We went east into Ohio.
Like Northeast.
Yeah, northeast into towards Cleveland, and it was a nice little road trip. What, you say it took about 5 hours, 5.5 hours on the road?
It was longer going there than coming back because we got hit with that horrible accident, and it was raining horrendously.
Yeah, somebody like drove into a sign. Like somebody literally like drove into and through like a billboard that was ground level. And,
I was actually gonna specify that it was a billboard sign, not just like a 55 mile an hour speed limit sign.
Right.
like a legitimate billboard sign.
Yeah, it was like an advertisement. Somebody just plowed through it and flipped their car, and it was smoking, and I don't know, it looked bad. But anyways, we made
Pretty
it.
badass.
Yeah, we survived. We got there. We stayed. It was actually nice because, like, we were joking earlier. I mean, Cleveland is not that nice. It's kind of smelled weird, and it was wet and damp and gross and kind of dirty. But we were lucky enough to stay in a hotel that was reasonably priced, within very close walking distance to the convention center. I thought the convention center was actually pretty nice.
Oh, convention center was nice. It's just the entire city is just poop.
I don't know if we were actually like in an area that was just not very popular.
Sure.
We didn't actually drive around the city of Cleveland when we got there. We literally got in our hotel, dropped our bags, and then walked to the convention center.
Well, we did drive from outside downtown. Like, we drove in some of the urban area that's right outside of downtown, and it was
trash.
it was pretty shady, to say the least.
But I mean, like, I think if we would have traveled a little bit around town, I think we could have spotted some more places.
True.
Probably not.
I'm just being optimistic for Cleveland. I don't want to totally
just wreck them. No, yeah. I agree. I'm sure there's tons of cool places. Like, we passed some places that had like what looked to be cool bars and cool breweries and stuff, but even that was like outside of the main downtown, and there wasn't even anybody there, So I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So we arrived on Friday because now I know Jeremy and I had talked about it a little bit before, but GPs are now 3-day events. They used to just be 2-day events. You would show up in the morning on Saturday and play your way through until you got kicked out, right? But now they have an entire Friday where there's side events. There's people there hanging. There's people buying and selling cards. So we were fortunate enough to get there in pretty good time on Friday and check out the convention hall, which, like I said, it was really nice. They had a ton of vendors set up for just like a regional GP. That kind of blew my mind.
I think there were 11 vendors.
Yeah, that's a
there.
ton, man. Like, I know regional GPs in Indy, and we have the biggest convention center in the world. They rent out the dinkiest space, and they have, like, maybe 3 vendors total, right? And one of them's local, whereas this was everybody except for Star City, basically.
Because they had their own event.
Yeah,
Oklahoma City, I think.
Something.
Or no, Dallas. Yeah, Dallas.
It was in Dallas, yeah. So it was okay. Like, that was nice, to be able to just kind of scope the floor out on Friday. I want to make sure that we give a shout out to our buddies at Brainstorm Brewery. We got to hang out most of Friday with Jason Alt, who's one of the co-hosts on that podcast and one of the contributors as far as content goes. He's the content editor for that site, and he contributes to a bunch of other sites. If you listen at all to anything going on in the Magic finance community or even just the play community in general, you probably know who he is. And he was gracious enough to hang out with us, and he was a super cool guy. So I'm really glad we got the chance to do that.
I am as well. I had a good time with hanging out.
I had a fun time. I felt like the only downside was the fact that we didn't get to bed that Saturday morning until relatively later than what we should have.
Man, you could have said, I want to go to bed.
Yeah, you could have just gone to bed. That's your fault.
I did go to bed.
I did too.
No, you didn't.
Eventually.
Yeah. But that's and that's one thing to think about. Like, if you are going to a GP and you really want to compete on Saturday, either be someone who can just get away with not a lot of sleep, or don't feel bad just going to bed early on the Friday before you need to compete and get a ton of sleep. Like, that's really good for you, and you will notice a difference in your play during the actual GP, the event itself. So just something to keep in mind.
Or don't room with people who make a lot of noises when they sleep.
There's that too. Yeah, because I got maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night because these two guys were sawing logs all. But it was okay. It was totally fine. But it was like I say, it was cool to hang out with Jason. Like I said, big shout out to him. He's really a great guy, and we got to meet all sorts of cool community people kind of through him and at the event. So that was great. We even went to this Nick, you were saying there weren't even people around, hanging out really in that area of Cleveland. Like, it took us forever to find a place to hang out. And one place
This is a nice little dive bar.
Yeah, we just found this dive bar, but it's funny because everyone else also just found this dive bar because there was nothing else. So we ran into everybody else we were going to see for the next 2 days. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. So we did that on Friday. We hung out, and then Saturday we got there in the morning and ran through the whole GP thing. I know I've already kind of walked our listeners through essentially the outline of how a GP works, but how did your guys' GP experiences go? How was your deck?
I'll go ahead and start it off.
Yeah.
My original sealed pool, it was sort of, I'm gonna be honest, horrible. I had like Blue Delta and Flooded Strand and like a bunch of like shoddy rares, and we passed that. The guy across from me didn't know was his first GP, so I had to call Judge I think 4 times to correct errors that he um, miswritten into the on the sheet. And then my own sealed pool was pretty good. I'll be honest. I had Polygon, the red black dragon. I had foil Citadel Siege, and I had double heel cutter, Mardu Scout, and I think that's it.
It's pretty good.
And a polluted Delta on top of it all. So I felt like my sealed pool was really good. I was really strong, like right at the beginning. I lost the first round, and like up until round 6, like I was just doing well, and I think starting around round 5, I started having mana problems, and I pile shuffle every time, and I don't know, but I kept on like drawing the same maybe 1 or 2 lands additionally after a 2 or 3 land hand, and it sort of just screwed me over, which was sad because I really felt like I could have gone at least into the later rounds of day one, like possibly
Right.
round 8 or round 9. But it's I did a lot better than what I did on my first GP, and I can say that I'm steadily improving as far as the grind of a GP.
Nice. I mean, that's the downside of variance, right? I mean, Magic is a game of averages, right? I mean, 50% of the time, you're not going to hit the cards you need to be competitive against your opponent, let alone the cards you need to even play, right? I mean, that's just how it goes. I mean, you just got to shuffle, 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 and hope you get what you need to play. And if you don't, mulligan aggressively, especially if you have a deck that has a lower curve. Don't be afraid to. Um, but yeah, man, it's how it breaks sometimes. What about you, Jeremy? How's your deck, buddy?
Well, the pool that I opened, I wish I could have just kept that thing and then just played with that, but it got passed to a little kid that had no idea what he was doing. So that kind of made me sad, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, he has this great pool and he's going to suck, so I don't really have to worry about it. But the pool that I got passed had a foil Yasova, Sage of the Inward Eye, a Tarka, a Trap Essence, Hair Levana Finza, Master of the Unseen. So I just kind of threw together a 4-color deck.
Nice.
I even had Timur Sabertooth plus Avon Surveyor for that derpy combo.
That
Um,
powerful combo.
I mean, my day, I was kind of like up and down throughout the start, and then once I got on the knife of like 2-2, I pulled ahead to like 4-2, and then going to round 7, I lost that one, which then continued my streak of never making it out of round 7 because I always get my third loss and then just drop because there's no point of continuing.
Right.
But I mean, like, I mean, this format's not bad, but at the same time, it's like it's bomb. It's just like I mean, we've talked about this millions of times. It's just play to your bombs,
Right.
and that's what I did, and I felt like my deck was pretty good. But at the same time, people are just dropping these big fat bombs
Haymakers. Yeah.
everywhere else, and I'm just sitting here like, well, like the best thing I did was that hit somebody for 16 with the Tarka, still didn't even kill them, and then lost the like the next turn. I was just like, that a
Nice.
boy.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, this is like my third or it's I know it's like my fourth or fifth GP, and I mean, other than never making it past round 7, uh, I mean, it went pretty well, and then that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, Jeremy. And so you went 4-3?
4-3, never make it past round 7.
Buddy. So my GP experience was fascinating. So I was tired because we went to bed a little bit late, and then Jeremy sounded like his own lumber mill. and I got enough sleep to at least sort of function. I had some coffee in me. So I sit down, right? There's just, people all around. We're opening packs, whatever. And this dude, no joke, rolls in, like, stands up above everyone at the table, kind of looks around, looks up at the ceiling, and it just spits nonsense. Like, he says words that make no sense, and he was actually from somewhere else. So he was, like, saying some other language that I could not pin him on. His eyes were as red as could be, so he was just super high as a kite. And everyone's like, okay, that's weird, and he walks away. And he comes back, right? And he sits in the one open seat, which happened to be next to me, to my left, with 2 Smirnoff Ice in his hands, 2 bottles of Smirnoff Ice in his hands. Just drunk as could possibly be. Sits down and proceeds to continue to ramble on about absolutely nothing, just keeps taking sips from his Smirnoff, gets up to go to the bathroom 3 or 4 different times. Finally, a judge comes by, as we're registering pools, as we're trying to build, and asks him to go up to the tournament organizer's table. Of course, he conveniently leaves the Smirnoffs behind, which judges then keep coming up to me asking me if they're mine, and I'm like, absolutely not, because that is ridiculous. And he comes back, and the judges just like take his drinks away and just let him build. And I was like, what? It was crazy because everyone at the table, everyone's just looking around asking, like, does this guy get kicked out? Does he get, like, arrested or kicked off premises? Like, what are the rules here? And I guess at the end of the day, the tournament organizers couldn't do anything about it, and B, the facility, like the convention center itself, I guess, just didn't have any rules against it. So I would assume one of those bodies would have some rules against, public, intoxication, but I guess not. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Like, it was super weird.
I mean, nothing on the tournament said don't show up drunk and high.
True. Yeah, I mean, you're right.
But I don't know how I don't know how the dude honestly made it past security unless he just had like the straightest face in the world.
I guess. I don't know, man. I mean, if you got a backpack, I guess you just keep your Smirnoffs in there. Oh, he also had a cease and desist letter, and under it, which he left on the table, and under it he left a court summons. He had just taken them out of his pocket, and just they were I forgot about that. They were on the table because the dude across from him was like, opened it up because he thought it was the dude's deck, like the registration sheet, and he was like, "Oh, this is a court summons and a cease and desist." And I was like, "What?"
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Terrible.
That dude's my hero.
I know, and we all kind of looked around like, this is sort of troublesome, but also this dude's kind of a baller. So, like, I don't know what's happening.
He's just like, dude, screw this GP. I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't know. It was if I was a TL, I would just kick him out.
I mean, like, yeah, but at the same time, nothing on your tournament said that he could not do that.
Fair enough, but it's your event.
Yeah, it's your event. I mean, but at the same time, he can just get mad after he sobers up and be like, hey, I got kicked out of this tournament. Nothing you said, I couldn't have alcohol or.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously he wasn't smoking weed in there, but you said he reeked of it.
Oh, you better believe it, yeah.
I think the tournament, the official that was running the tournament was probably so shocked that someone would actually do all this. Probably didn't know what to say or what to do, and probably neither of his colleagues knew what to do either. They're just this has never happened to me.
I mean, in my opinion, I would have just kicked him out. That's just me, though.
Yeah, I mean, you just kick him out because you say, we can't... It's not even like you're mad at the person because you're not mad at him. Like, you just have to, set a precedence. You know what I mean? Because if one person gets away with it,
you're just disappointed.
Right. It's true, though. Because if as a business and as a brand you say the one time you let it happen is the one time you've told the rest of the community that it's okay. And that's a really bad precedence to set. I should have taken some pictures. I tweeted about it, but I didn't take any pictures. But
probably the only thing that's the downside if they would have kicked him out is they had to make sure he made it home or wherever he was standing at.
Maybe.
Because if you make him walk, I mean,
the dude made it to the convention center. I think he's okay making it back.
But I mean, the tournament's at fault. It's like a bar. You serve them too much alcohol. you got to make sure they get
The
home.
tournament didn't
No,
serve him the alcohol.
Right.
But no, but
They would
it's
be
still
at
their
fault.
responsibility.
No, I'm pretty darn sure under these circumstances he is not their responsibility.
Yeah, the tournament has no responsibility over this guy.
Yeah.
This guy's on his own. He made it to the convention center on his own.
Somehow.
He put himself in this predicament. He's on his own.
Yeah. But that just blew my mind. I don't know. I just wanted to just to get your thoughts on it. But it was definitely the craziest thing I've ever seen in organized play. Like, no question. So.
Pretty badass.
Yeah, it was crazy. But my deck was fantastic. So I opened up this pool with I had Sarkhan's the first thing I see, and I'm like, this is amazing. So I was able to play with him. I also opened up a Dromica, so I knew that probably going Naya was the thing that was going to happen. Opened up 2 Goblin Heel Cutters, which helps me get in the ground, or even in the air, just make something not block. Puritans, a very aggressive deck. Like, I had Pyrotechnics to back it up as far as removal goes. I had a Suspension Field too, actually, and I had two Mardu Horde Chiefs just to put dudes on the ground. A Sandstep Outcast, just all the value stuff that I could have ever possibly wanted, and the deck was awesome. I was able to pilot my way through the Dirtle rounds, so rounds 1 through 3. Got a win in the 4th round. Felt really happy about that. Thought the deck was going great. My 5th round opponent was on a Timber deck with no real bombs, but just a good solid deck overall. And I win the first one. I lose the second one. We go to game 3, and he hasn't really resolved any creatures. I've just been beating down with Goblin Heel Cutter and another creature. And I only have 1 card left in my hand, though, because he's removed some stuff. And I draw Pyrotechnics, right? And the guy has... The only thing he's resolved is a Shaman of the Great Hunt, which was a 4/2. He attacked me because I just keep attacking him so I don't have any creatures back to block. For 4, right? So I go down to 16. His guy becomes a 5/3, but he doesn't play any more creatures, so I can attack him again on my turn. So it goes back to my turn. I attack. I take him down to 4. Right, but I had to tap out to get a creature on the board to be able to, or to get the Goblin Heel Cutter to be able to do that. So I know that I've got him dead to rights no matter what, because even if he kills a creature, I'll kill him with Pyrotechnics. He has 1 card in his hand. So I do all the math in my head. I go through the Rolodex. I try to figure out what cards could possibly kill me this next turn to make me not lose, or to make me not win this round. And the only possible combination is for him to Timber Battle Rage and pump his guy big enough to kill me, right?
Awaken the Bear.
Awaken the Bear is the most common way to do it. And so I'm like, okay, like the odds of him having both of those, like having the one in his hand then ripping the other is like, nil. And so he draws, he goes to combat, and I'm like, okay, I'll take 5. And he's like, Awaken the Bear. And I was like, okay, I'll take 8. And he's like, oh, and I also have the Timber Battle Rage. You take 16. And I was just
really good.
I was so defeated, man. Like, and I mean, I don't think I could have or should have played it any differently.
Actually, you took 17.
Yeah, it was enough to kill me.
Well, it's funny because the first strike hits you, he gets another counter.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, you took 17.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, that's so annoying.
The double strike gives him a
because
second
he hits
counter.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's stupid. Yeah. So, but I just knew, like, I knew it too. Like, I knew it. I looked at the life pad, looked at the life total, and I knew the only way he could beat me was that. And he gets it. And it was all just kind of downhill from there. My next opponent was resolving Kolagons and Orc sure shots, just dashing everything out, and killed me before I could really kill him. Got light form in 2 games to gain enough life to even my aggressive starts where I had gotten him to like 5. He was able to come back by gaining enough life, which was pretty annoying. But his deck was good. And then my last opponent, we were both on the knife's edge, and he resolves a Torrent Elemental and a Tassiger against a board that just couldn't deal with it. And I had Pyrotechnics in hand. It was the most worthless Pyrotechnics I've probably ever had in my life against a bunch of X5s. So. But so that ended my day. But we were able to buy and sell a bunch of cards, which I was super excited about. And again, like I said, we met a bunch of cool pros and some old friends that we have, or that I have all across the nation. It was great to see a bunch of those guys.
But yeah, I mean, how'd you guys feel about your day one? I mean, what else do you guys buy and sell and trade into? I know you did a bunch of that kind of fun stuff.
You can go first, Nick.
So I was pretty aggressive with my trade-ins. The night before, I really spent probably an hour and a half at buy list prices and just seeing where I can get the most bang for my buck.
Wait, okay,
Which
so wait, let's explain this for people. So what you did, your strategy then is what you're saying, is you didn't go around and you didn't have a binder full of trade stuff to trade with other people necessarily. Instead, your strategy was to go to all of these 11 vendors, right, and look at their printed, set in stone prices that they were offering on the cards that you had with you, correct?
Yeah. So Friday night, I actually attempted to do some trading, but there wasn't that many. And like even Saturday
There
after
what
we,
you mean you mean like people? There weren't that
yeah.
many people buying. Okay, yeah, got it.
So on Friday when we first went there, I actually I was going to attempt to trade with people, and there just weren't that many people around to trade stuff out.
Yep.
And I sort of figured, not that many people were there. So I made an attempt Saturday after I dropped, and I was already sort of tired, so I wasn't going to look too extensively.
Yep.
But I already knew like the buy list prices and everything, so I sort of walked in just assuming I was just going to trade a vendor. I did end up trading with some guy from Germany who just had probably uh, $30,000+ worth of trade stuff in his binder. I'm just like, I opened one page up. It has like 8 Black Lotuses, like not near mint, but like probably like SP to LP area. Even some were MP, and I'm just like, dude. He's like, I've been playing the game since '94, and so he just, my whole thing was I wanted to trade into stuff that was cube related, and I wanted to trade into stuff in modern for my modern deck. Unfortunately, I sort of negated away from the modern deck with some of the stuff that he had for trade.
You navigated away, yeah.
Yeah, I navigated away. Um, I was seriously like this close into trading into a DCI Dark Confidant,
Whoa. Yeah,
and
that
I'm
thing
just
is beautiful.
and I could not swing it. So I mean, like I ended up trading into 16 cards. All of them were foiled, but one, and
Sweet.
it was all valued at about $600. So it's not bad trading into stuff that's just sitting in a binder collecting dust that I
What'd you
know I'm
trade
not going to
away?
use.
You mean you traded that to this guy?
No. I traded like 200 to this guy, and I traded like an additional like $450 worth of cards into vendor for stuff. So
Yeah, so shout out to it was interesting because out of the 11 vendors there, most of it was pretty ho-hum. Some people overpriced that you just know of, and some people just not even selling that much. Like there were some vendors there who didn't even have that much product because for a vendor, a GP is really a place where you go to restock. It's really a place where you just bring a lot of money to buy cards. They don't really care about selling cards at these events really. Um, but shout out to Channel Fireball for having easily the best buy list, kind of overall. On average, the most they were paying the most per card in cash, and in credit they were giving an extra 30% on top of like 70% normal credit. So you could get very close to the real trade-in price of a card at Channel Fireball. Trade those cards away and get the stuff you wanted. So they did a fantastic job with that. But I do also want to say we have some buddies who were on the contracting, buying and selling team for Aether Games, which is a brand new store. They've only been around for what maybe half a year now.
yeah.
Um, and they actually don't do a lot of credit bonuses or anything like that because they're not really interested in trading their cards around. So they actually had the best like cash money buy prices, which helps them keep their prices low if you're buying cards with cash. But they also buy your cards for cash at the highest rate of any vendor there. So it's an interesting juxtaposition. So you've got those guys who are building their collection and willing to actually pay more money for your stuff, but you won't get as good trading credit. Where on the other side of the coin, you have the incredibly gigantic, large companies like Channel Fireball who are at the margins where they can actually afford to give away the best in credit because they have so much inventory to move back to you that they don't really care about selling. So it was just super interesting to see that kind of dichotomy on the floor. But I think for us all, it worked out best to just go with CFB and trade some stuff in for credit and go from there. But yeah, I mean, I think we all grabbed some super good cards. I know I just sold a bunch of stuff to Channel Fireball to kind of pay for my hotel room and cover the cost there, um, which was fantastic. I also traded a bunch of random stuff for credit. I got like 50 or 60 bucks in credit, which was nice. But what about you, Jeremy? Were you doing some? I know you don't usually like doing a lot of the finance stuff, but I think you had a pretty darn good weekend, dude. Right?
Yeah, I decided to take the time and go through a lot of my stuff and find just like 300 cards that were just sitting in a case. No, sorry, a chest. Just in my living room, and I was just like, "Oh, we can get rid of these." And before the Thursday before we left, we went through them, got all the value out of it, put the rest in bulk, and then after I scrubbed out, I was just like, head over to Channel Fireball, gave them all my stuff, got like $225, and
Yeah.
uh, then that's when the day started. Just picked up a Vendilion click. Actually, the day started when a random guy walked by me and saw my game day Ugin playmat. It's just this guy from Canada, just out of nowhere. I have my playmat sitting out because I was just going through some stuff. And he goes like, "Hey, how much would you get rid of that playmat for?" And so we were just sitting there talking, and we finally came up on a price of like $65. And so I used the playmat plus some other cards that I didn't really care for and that were easy to get again to get 2 Lorwyn Cryptic commands. So that started off the weekend of getting a whole bunch of good trades, in my opinion. The 225 I got in store credit at Channel Fireball. I used that to pick up um, a play set of Celestial Colonnades, a promo Celestial Colonnades,
Yeah, that's a good pickup.
and a Vendilion Click. And then day 2, I decided to get rid of some standard cards that I figured I would never play because I don't really know. I don't like Monastery Mentor that much.
Hmm.
I thought it was going to be one of those cards I was going to be like, man, I'm going to play this card every day. But that didn't happen. So I was just like, I don't need this card. And I also got rid of like 3 Shaman of the Great Hunts because I also have 3 foil ones of them. So I'm just like, oh, it's whatever. I ended up getting $89. There's a Jace that was from the Vault 20, and it was 90. And I was like, "Can I have that?" And they go like, "Yeah, here." I was like, "Oh, here's $1 to make it 90." And
Jeremy.
they're just like, "No, you can keep the dollar." And I'm just like, "Okay, you're lost."
No, that's how it goes, man. In finance, nobody cares about the extra dollar.
Well,
It's not. It's all perceived value. I mean, they're just pieces of cardboard, right?
well, I care about the extra dollar because I use that to get a
Well,
drink.
there's another way, a guy comes in with a bunch of standard stuff, and especially to a vendor, they're worth a lot more than the modern and legacy stuff
Oh yeah.
because they can move it so much faster.
Oh
So,
heck yeah.
like, and this is when bartering becomes a big deal, especially when you're trading into some higher dollar modern stuff. Like, you have to take a risk. You have to be like, hey, it's I have 100 and this card's like 115. Let's make a deal,
Yep.
and the chances of them moving that $115 modern card is much less likely compared to $115 worth of standard stuff. So, yeah, gladly they will get rid of that Jace.
Mm.
Ah, well, Jace's legacy, but yeah. Um, I mean, other than that, I mean, like that's like the first time I've ever really done that. I still have a crap ton of bulk rares that I need to get rid of, which that'll equal like God knows like $100 because I just collect crap apparently because I'm the collector.
Yeah. The more
But
you
yeah,
buy stuff, yeah, the larger your collection grows if you're not moving off of it.
I mean, yeah, I didn't even pick up the Jace for Legacy. I just picked him up for my Planeswalker collection. I
That's
mean,
probably
if I do happen to make like an EDH deck where blue is involved, he'll
Picked him
obviously,
up for my Planeswalker collection. Those
yeah,
are the words that Hasbro loves to hear.
Well,
You
I
make
hope.
them so happy, Jeremy.
Well, I will. Then we should send Hasbro this podcast because then they're gonna be super
They would
happy.
be super. I mean, to hear someone in the community say, I have this because planeswalkers are something that I care about, and I want to spend money out of my pocket, to have the chance to collect them. Like that's 99.9% of Magic, right? The people who do Magic Finance are less than 1% of the community. Like the community at large, they love cool dragons, they love planeswalkers, they love angels, they love demons, they love burning their opponents through the face with, a deck full of 20 lightning bolts. Like that's that's what Magic really is. Right, and if you want to capitalize that on that though, right, and if you're savvy, you know how to find those people and you know how to get them what they want, and in return, make a nice tidy little profit. But that's perfect, man. Like this game would not exist if it weren't for people like you. So
I
we
mean, that's why when people go through my Planeswalker collection, I'm like, if there's only one left, I
yeah,
won't get rid of it. And they're like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing there. And I'm
no,
just like,
totally.
mind blown.
It's awesome. I mean, I just love knowing that people like that still exist because I get a little bit jaded, hanging out with finance guys and talking to finance guys all the time because that's all we talk about, and you tend to forget that the vast majority of people who experience and enjoy Magic the Gathering could could not care any less about the money that goes into it, or how much they spend, or how much we're making, or the fact that there is a buying and selling, a secondary market out there. That just doesn't even cross their minds, and it's just good to remember to kind of readjust and get yourself settled back into the idea that that those people exist. So, and that's why this awesome game exists, right? Like, how much would it suck if the casual community, just like disappeared,
Be
right?
bad.
We'd have no game. There would literally be no more Magic Gathering anymore, and that would suck. But yeah, so again, without these people, it just wouldn't. We would have no game, and I think that would suck for all of us. Um, so yeah, it's again, it's good to hear that you have those experiences and you're buying the things you want. So
Hmm.
kudos, more power to you, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about gearing up for the Dragons of Tarkir pre-release. We had our fun in Cleveland. That's the last limited GP for the Khans of Tarkir Fate Reforged limited environment. It's done. It's over. That's all done with. Now we're moving on to Dragons of Tarkir, which is a new timeline in which the dragons have not died out, and they've actually taken over the human and other, anthropomorphic, whatever people that live on Tarkir, and they're now the leaders of those communities. Um, and the set's pretty cool, man. Like this set's actually super sweet. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, I gotta play a lot of dragons
Yeah,
and
you get
not
to
feel
play.
bad about it.
Yeah, you get to play Infinite Dragons. This is a first set where the as fan of dragons has been above, that has actually mattered, right? This is the highest number of dragons you will see in every single booster pack, ever, of all time, that's ever happened. Instead of having one or two big dumb dragons that maybe sort of do stuff in a set, which is basically what we get every set. Now, an entire, 20% of the cards are dragons. That's insane. That's totally
if not
crazy.
more.
Yeah, I mean the environment is just out of control. But gearing up for the Dragons of Tarkir pre-release, um, you get to choose which one of these dragon clans you will be. So now in the Dragons of Tarkir world or environment, the three-color clans don't exist anymore. So the dragons who now lead these clans are aligned with two allied colors of magic, and that's the colors they represent. And their clans represent that, having eschewed the third color, the third enemy color of magic, of mana rather. And so now each of these clans are named after the dragon lords themselves. And at the pre-release, you get to choose one of these two color combinations to be the dragon clan that you are representing in honor of your dragon lord. So, what are you guys gonna choose for your pre-release?
I'm actually gonna go I'm gonna choose differently from what I usually do.
Okay.
I'm usually more of a value. Like I'm gonna go to the pre-release. I want to get a lot of value out of it, And
Okay.
this time I'm gonna actually go for an aggressive, less valued.
Less valuable? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for the Polygon pack, which is black red.
I think aggressive is a good way to play sealed. I mean, that's a strategy I went with last time because I knew the format was going to slow down by like about a turn overall, and it paid out, man. And I think going to two colors, it's very possible that strategy is still the same. So it's interesting though, right? Because when you go to two colors, there are a lot less awkward like turn threes where you don't have the right mana, because you're really only playing two color decks. So maybe not. So it might go back to being. It
It'll
might
go back
actually
to
be.
being it'll go back to being an aggressive format
I
because
think so too.
you're going to spend less time being mana screwed or not having the right third color,
Right.
and it's just going to be straight two colors. So it would make it easier for your mana to be correct and easier for you to play spells.
Right. But it is. I think you're 100% right. But it is tempered by the fact that there are so many like fives, 6 and 7, mana converted mana cost dragons. Right. I mean, there are a bunch of those.
I mean,
Like
well,
they're all
yeah,
over the place.
but still, I mean, if you're playing little dudes that curve into the bigger dudes, I mean, nonetheless, like I'm pretty sure every single clan has like the right kind of
Yeah.
curve, and it's just I about said Mardu. Kolagon has just the slightly faster one, and it also still has the ability of dash,
Yeah, the dash mechanic has returned actually. So
which I mean, the only two mechanics that actually returned were dash and bolster.
isn't it cool how they did that actually? So there's like in the wake of Sarkin changing things, there were two that held their way through Konstantarkir to Fate Reforge, and then two that like switched like all the way across the timeline and stayed in the new world. But then there are also a couple that faded out in favor of new mechanics because it's a different world. So I thought that was actually flavor-wise
And then
pretty cool.
one kind of just got upgraded, as
Uh,
in
yeah,
ferocious became formidable.
right. Yep.
Yeah,
But
so I
but it's
mean,
still a
you
different.
could
It's still
say
not a returning mechanic.
you could say that one changed, but it's more of like it got an upgrade.
It's different
Ojutai.
though.
Well, I mean, you said there's five.
Yeah.
There's five clans, but you said only four. That's why I threw in formidable. I didn't know which one you were forgetting about.
That's correct, isn't it? So if we were looking at Konstantarkir, we were talking about, well, Morph doesn't count because it changes all the way across, right?
Cons of Tarkir had Outlast,
Outlast,
Dash.
Raid,
Oh yeah, Raid,
Prowess,
Prowess, and Ferocious,
Ferocious,
and then I think we're missing one still, right?
the black one, Delph,
Uh, Delve. Yeah, okay. So, and then you went to Fate Reforge, and it became Dash,
Bolster,
Bolster, Ferocious still existed,
Prowess,
Prowess still existed,
Delph.
and Delve still existed. And then you go to Dragons, you get Rebound
In place of Prowess.
in place of Prowess. Dash stays.
Yep.
Um,
Exploit.
Megamorph.
No, that doesn't count.
Bolster
Exploit.
Bolster Bolster stays.
Right.
And then you get Formidable, and you get
Exploit instead of Delph.
Exploit instead of Delve. So you get three new ones and two stay.
Yeah. It's
So,
fascinating. I just thought flavor-wise to make that transition, how the world totally changes.
and for
Um,
the morph cycle, you were like morph, uh,
yeah, so
manifest,
I thought
and
that
then it
was
became
super interesting.
megamorph.
So like so the way they flavored it is, Ugin sort of stuck around, but his magic was sort of around because all the humans in the morphods wanted to be able to retain some of that power, but instead, they weren't good enough at the dragon magic, so they turned it into regular morph, right? Which was really just kind of a human version of Ugin's manifest magic, where now in a world where he essentially has survived and dragon magic has survived,
it has evolved in a very positive way and become Megamorph. So I thought that story was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was a cool way to tie it all together.
Yeah. It was, they did a good job. Creative did a fantastic job on this set. And there's a lot of little cute things that you can see, things that have changed in this world, things that haven't changed in this world, things that are variations on what happened in Khans of Tarkir, because this is more like because Khans of Tarkir is now kind of what if, like what would have happened if things wouldn't have changed. And it's awesome. Kudos to him. I give him a 10 out of 10 as far as flavor goes. They've done a really bang up job.
Yeah.
So at your pre-release, you'll choose one of those. I'm going to choose Ojutai because I think there's a lot of good flyers. There's a lot of good tricks, and it's just going to be tough to deal with all the evasion. I think I'm just going to have a ton of fun just attacking with like 3-1s in the air. So
I'm going to Tarka so I can beat all your faces in.
that's pretty good too. There are a lot of really big dudes on the ground now.
And if I get to cast Sirach, the Hunt Caller, and prove you all right that he's an amazing sealed card, or
Hey, a 5/4 for 4 isn't bad.
Why did I forget this
But-
format's name? Limited, yes. I will prove to you all that Sirach, the Hunt Caller, is an amazing limited card.
A 5/4 for 4 in green is fine. Like he's strictly better than a Feral Krushak.
He is 100% better than a Feral Krushak.
Yeah, strictly better.
Because I do not see a scenario where this guy doesn't come down and is also swinging for 5 the same turn.
It's possible.
It's more than possible.
We'll see. Well, you have to
It's
curve out. Though. I mean,
probable.
You do have to be able to play enough dudes. I mean, on curve, I don't think so. But to say that whenever he does come down, he has haste, that's probably more probable. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like a for sure thing in my opinion.
We'll see. He's good. I mean, don't get me wrong. 5/4 for 4 is something I would just play. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's very good. So when you get there, right? So you'll choose that, and then you'll build your deck. I'm assuming it's going to be one seeded pack of dragons, and then 2 regular dragons and 3 Favorite Forge. Maybe it
That
might not
sounds
be.
probably wrong. It's probably 1 seeded of dragons.
Yeah,
3
dragons. Yeah, and then 2
and then
Favorite
2
Forge. That's
Fate.
probably right. Yeah.
That sounds a little bit because I mean, seeing how Fate is a small set, why it would
Right.
make no sense why you'd give us more than that
Right.
when it's so because the limited format is going to be 2 dragons, 1 Fate.
To draft,
So-
yeah.
So you're literally shoving two draft pods into one. So you're getting you have 3 dragons, 1 pseudo dragon, 1 with other things mixed in,
Right.
and then you have 2 Fate Reforged. So it's kind of like you just two. Oh my Lanta! You threw 2 draft packs
Yeah.
into one thing, and then you get your sealed box.
That makes sense to me. Yeah. Huh. It should be fun. I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
yeah.
There's also a Dragon Dice game, which your store will probably have this set up. It looks kind of like Stratego.
It's weird.
I don't
yeah.
think it's like Stratego.
It looks like Stratego, but it's just these little dudes these little flags set up, and then you're supposed to spin the 20-sided die that you get for your clan. The die look really cool. To be fair, they look like amazing, by the way. But you spin it, and the more of the little flags you knock over, in kind of like bowling style, the more promo cards you get, which is like, I don't know, like they have different art, so like that's cool, I guess. Like none of them are really good cards, but
It reminds me more of that game where you kind of wound the thing up and you spinned it off and you had the 2 things battle each other.
yeah,
spun
them together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, is it Beyblade? Was that what the game was called?
No, the old one was. I'm thinking. Do you guys remember Crossfire?
Nope.
It reminds me of Crossfire. That game was fantastic, by the way. But no, it'll be fun. Plenty of people are gonna play that. It's the kind of thing that actually I would play because you get cards. Like, I'm not going to do a thing that doesn't get you anything, but doing this, you actually get cards that are playable and have alternative art, so I'll probably do it. Um,
I guess hold on to your alternate art cards because
if you get them, yeah. Like, you
yeah,
also have to win them. Like, your game shop can also just not give you those cards,
yeah.
like, if you don't do well, which is fascinating. But,
Master of the Unseen alternate art was what, $30?
yeah.
It's insane.
Okay.
I actually just looked up how the game would play. So 3 points gets you a land. 9 points gives you a land and a common. 12 points gets you a land, common, and an uncommon.
Oh,
And then
man.
18 points, if you can guess it, gives you a land, common, uncommon, and a rare.
Oh, rare. Yeah. That was my second guess.
Oh, and then there's no mythic. You can't get promo mythic.
That's too
Tragic.
good.
It's too good.
Too good. Too
You
free.
get two total rolls.
Yeah.
Resetting the board between each roll.
Wow.
Whichever one you get a higher score on, write it down on the nearby score sheet. That's the leaderboard. Try and get the most points out of anybody in the store. Boom. Right there.
Okay, you got it, Gavin. Whatever you say, buddy. We'll do it.
I
We'll
mean,
make
hey,
you
why
happy.
not?
But I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not, I've looked over the cards. They're cool. They're fun. It's a big set, so there's a lot of cards to learn. It'll just take playing with it to memorize them all. Memorize all the tricks, all the decent creatures that can come up and get you. But there's I don't think the rares are as bomby. Actually, like I think they're good, but I think the uncommons are actually where it's at in this set. To be honest.
Well, to be honest, the bomb, like it wasn't even really the rares from Cons of Tarkir that were bomby. It was the rares from Fate Reforged
yep.
that were bomby. And you
Exactly.
still have Fate Reforged.
Yeah.
But Fate Reforged ends off your pack this time now. So
Right.
so it all depends on what you open in that
And-
last pack.
And
because
this is a 2-color set. Don't forget. So.
Yeah, so Fate Reforged being the first one, you were able to pick that bomb and then set up around it. Now, it being the last one, you open it up, and if it's not a part of your deck, then you're just like, oh, well, I have to pass this.
Yeah, you'll probably be passing a lot more.
I mean, you can't open a Citadel Siege and be in like black and blue and then be like, man, I have to play this card.
You can't do it.
You just
cannot.
can't do it anymore. So that, I mean, it makes it harder. You have to like think. You can't just like, oh, I'm just gonna like kind of be fringe and wait until I get to Fate Reforged and then bam, go right into it. I mean, like you can't. You have to kind of like be the deck that like you can see right in front of you.
Whatever's in your seat. Yeah.
You can't just wait until your Fate Reforged pack to like solidify what 2 colors you're going to be. Like I don't even see 3. Like 3 is a possibility if you can like steal all the mana fixing from Fate Reforged, so you have like 8 possible mana fixing that you can get.
Right.
Like, if you can get the right ones for your deck. But at the same time, I just don't ever see 3 color being a thing unless you try and force it, and then it's / terrible.
Right. It's a lot like trying to make your core set deck a 3-color deck, and you will win a much lower % of the time that you build those decks than you will just sticking to good, solid, 2-color decks with a decent curve. Like that's the only advice I can give you. If you start getting into drafts either this weekend or the next at your next Friday Night Magic. So
yeah, it just all depends.
At least you get a chance at a fetch land still.
Yeah,
that's true. True.
You still get the chance of a fetch land in
A
Fate.
tap land.
Yeah. So yeah, in place of the tap land. So that's, I mean, I guess that's your special prize at the end if you get it. You can just be like, oh, I don't have a bomb rare, but hey, I have this fetch land I can take and still come out in Value Town. But I mean, obviously, if you're in like a higher level draft, you're not going to take that most of the time. You're going to take the card that fits your deck.
Right.
But I mean, if you're in an F&M like and you see like a Flooded Strand, and you're just like, I can't play it, but I want $17, so okay, I'll take it. And be the smart person, obviously. I mean, other than that, I don't see like. I mean, it'll be different for sure. I like it. I like it how you don't have to settle around your Fate Reforged pick. Your Fate Reforged pick is less significant now, and I feel like in this draft set, I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, Citadel Siege will still be a powerhouse if somebody can play it, but it'll go to the right deck instead of somebody splashing a third color to play it.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'm really happy that that's going to be the case.
Yeah, like you just won't lose to this like crappy deck that's three colors, but
resolves a bomb, yeah.
but they resolve the Citadel Siege or some other kind of bomb, and
Right.
I lose now because the Citadel Siege made his like mediocre deck insane because it just made his guys infinitely bigger.
Mhm.
When I have this strict deck that I built that's really good, and I lose to that one bomb card.
Yeah.
And now the rares will go to the right person that it belongs to, and the rares will go to the decks that you've based them on.
Yep. And I'm looking forward to it.
And I'm the person who doesn't do sealed a lot.
I know, and now you're all happy about it. This has been a good podcast. I'm really glad. I wanted to go back real quick and to GP Cleveland real quick and say, congrats to Bill Sang, who's a guy I've never heard of, but he got first place.
Congratulations.
Congrats, Bill Sang. Jake Mandello got second. Our buddy Gerard came in third place.
He did?
We saw him have some.
He got a little bit down.
He got a little bit salty at the guy who came in fifth, actually. The guy that
that
saw
guy
him.
came in fifth that he beat?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, the guy that beat him came in fifth.
Andrew Cuneo.
Shout out to that guy for the
Gerard Fabiano showed him the last laugh by like, hey, man, you beat me, but I came in a higher place than you.
Right.
So who's the winner, really?
It was Cuneo that did the stupid Howl the Horde with Tormenting Voice and
He did play Howl the Horde, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, the deck's...
Draw 6 cards. I watched it. I was like,
Card's ridiculous, yeah.
Draw 6 cards, discard 3.
Yeah.
Seems pretty good.
Grinder Christian Calcano came in 6th. Good old Yu Watanabe came in 7th. And a guy I don't know, whose name is Ross Merrim, came in 8th. So, congrats.
Are you being sarcastic on not knowing who Ross Merrim is?
No, I really don't. Does he just play standard?
He's an SCG grinder most of the time.
Oh, see, I don't.
He does content for them on the premium side, I believe.
Sorry, Ross. If you're listening to this, I know nothing about SCG stuff, so.
Well, I guess I do because I just look at their stuff every day.
Could be worse. You could pronounce J. Dean as JD.
JD? Yeah. Who's
Shout out to J. Dean, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for hanging with us dudes and being super cool and having fun and being nice. Like that was.
Thanks for stealing Jared from us and his sort of pseudo buy round instead of coming to watch us.
That did happen. Yeah. We had a super epic game. We played basically all our creatures and. Yeah, it was. We both had Warden of the First Tree out, and both of them were like 16/16s gaining life, and she got to a Force Away and forced away mine, and then proceeded to kill me. So
seems pretty good. Yeah, it's just like Nick is over here like, who is JD? I'm just like, dude, I'm saying J. Dean. He was like, who is JD? I'm just like, oh, I'm just so jealous.
Nah, she was a sweetheart though. That was it was really cool to meet all those guys. So. We appreciate you guys hanging with us. Before we wrap up here, Jeremy, we got a couple minutes left. You want to talk about anything as far as constructed cards go from what you've seen from Dragons of Tarkir yet?
Yeah, sure, for sure. So a couple of cards. I mean, like the two commands that I think we'll see play are obviously Dromoka's command and Atarka's command. The use of both of those cards are just ridiculous, and also them being 2 mana. As you noticed, we saw how great all the charms were back in Return to Ravnica, and these guys are on a whole new playing field than the charms. They're like charms, but you get to choose 2 of the activations, and there's 4 choices, which is ridiculous. Dromoka's command is, in my opinion, the best one, and I've been thinking on how to work this into a deck. I mean, obviously, Sarkhan Unbroken is a card that, I mean, everybody will try and play with. So will I, because he's Timur, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's Timur. I get to play a Sarkhan that's in Timur. And I'm going to keep saying Timur. the whole 2 converted mana cost Megamorph series, they all seem pretty good.
I like them a lot.
I think Stratus Dancer and Hidden Dragon Slayer, maybe even Silumgar's Assassin are probably the best constructed wise playable. Yeah, like you also have the 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 cycle of uncommons that do certain things against certain colors, like
Yeah, the hosers. I think those are imminently playable.
yeah, like one of them kills Ashiok, which I'm just like, oh my god, I love you because I hate that card with all my heart. I hate Ashiok. Um, one of the cards I actually really want to play is, can you guess it? Sirach Dragonclaw. No, sorry, Sirach
Then
the Hunt
The
Caller.
Hunt
Because,
Caller.
then let us guess.
It's like, do you want to guess it? Sirach the Hunt Caller.
Well, okay, I mean, could you could have you probably were gonna guess it anyway, so it doesn't
Yeah, I was
matter.
gonna look through it. I was like, what has Jeremy been talking about so much? Sirach.
I just okay, limited. This guy will maybe not attack on turn 4. Constructed, I don't ever see this guy not attacking on turn 4.
Sure.
And he comes down, he trades with the Siege Rhino if he wants to, and you feel better about it because I feel like the better he is not better than Siege Rhino in my opinion, obviously, because he does not drain for 6. I mean, there's no 6-point life swing. But at the same time, him being able to trade off with the Siege Rhino is always good. And just think about this. Say he comes down before a Siege Rhino, and
If you're on the play.
they go, if you're on the play, he comes down before Siege Rhino, he gets in for 5. Next turn, they play their Siege Rhino. It comes back to your turn. You're sitting with the Dromaka's command in hand, and you're just like, I'm going to give my guy a counter, and I'm going to fight your Siege Rhino. Or you can just Valorous Stance the guy as well. I mean, like, I think that, like, there's obviously Abzan aggro is a thing, but I think green-white aggro may become more of a relevant. Yeah, it's more streamlined. Yeah, you lose
Thoughtseize.
You lose Thoughtseize, you lose Abzan Charm. They never played Downfall. You lose the Charm, you lose like Tassiger, you lose Anafenza, but at the same time, I feel like there's still cards that you can make it, like you can add, like Dromakar's Command is an amazing card to play. It just makes the mana base more streamlined to where you're not having to play those come into play tap lands. You're playing 4 of them. Everything else is coming into play untapped, and you're just going to play like the quickest curve you can. Like it's possible. Other than that, Narset, I'm actually toying around with her in Modern. Haven't really got to a deck with her in Constructed because, I don't know. I'm just lazy, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah, I know, right, man? Jeremy being lazy? Who knows? But, I mean, like, I could keep going on, but, like, those are just some of the cards. Those are some things I wanted to point out. I'll let you guys get to your limited fun.
No, I mean, that's basically all I wanted to ask you about. I mean, all these cards we already talked a little bit about limited. Like, there's plenty of tricks that I'm interested in, but I think we're going to have a lot of time in the next couple of weeks, you know, as we actually feel out the format, because we're not going to be able to draft this for another week and a half, 2 weeks. So I don't want to talk too much about that right now, but
I mean, we could. If any of our team wins, we could always just draft the box that they win.
That is true.
One more point out. Out of all the Dragon Lords, it may seem like the weirdest thing, but Dragon Lord Atarka is the best one.
Oh, easily, yeah. I agree with that 100%.
His colors coincide with the 2 that, like, there's, because Green-Red Devotion was the thing before Green-White Devotion was. And Dragon Lord Atarka being an 8/8 guy with flying trample, and him being sort of like a Bogardan Hellkite, except he can't target players. He targets creatures and planeswalkers. And him being able to just, like, him coming down, like, maybe the same turn as a Siege Rhino and killing that Siege Rhino, and you have an 8/8, seems pretty good.
That is pretty good.
I don't want to start discussion, but I actually think the green-white dragon.
No,
mode
I
is
was
better
just gonna say that. I actually think Drummoka's actually infinitely better than Atarka, but
because it can't be
I mean,
countered. It's got lifelink and it's got the double white dragon from Fate Reforged that your opponents can't cast spells during your turn.
He's a Grand Abolisher.
yeah,
Yeah.
The word scale dragon is creatures can't cast spells
while you're
while
attacking.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I think Dragon Lord Drumaka is amazing.
I think it's the best one for sure. But
I actually think Ojutai is the best one. But I've seen people.
What?
When I say Dragon Lord Drumaka, no, I honestly think Ojutai is the best one in my opinion.
no way. No, you're ridiculous.
Like, if you play Dragon Lord Drumaka, all I have to do is like play the infinite amount of kill spells that I have in the deck that I'm playing. Seeing how this constructed format is basically.
You get to do that against Ojutai too?
No. When you
Yeah.
tap him.
Yeah, to attack. So whenever to trigger his ability, you have to tap him to deal combat damage to a player.
So okay,
So
understand
then you
this.
just do it.
You're playing him in Esper or blue-white control, however you want to do this. You're untapping. You have something in your hand to save him 100% of the time.
Sure.
They're like, oh, I'm going to try and kill your Dragon Lord Ojutai. And like, oh, I'm going to counter that. You're going to take 5, and then I'm going to look at the top 3 cards of my library and probably replace that counter spell that I just used. So
That's true.
he, like, for the deck that he wants to be in, he's perfect. Don't get me wrong, Dragon Lord Drumaka is amazing, but he can also be killed. He can be killed, but he makes it inconvenient to kill him because you obviously can't kill him on their turn. Because obviously spells can't be cast during your opponent's turns. So he's just like, you have to spend mana on your turn, whereas you held up mana on the mana during my turn to kill this guy after I cast him, yet now you have to untap and you have to spend that mana to kill him instead of playing another creature to advance your board state. Thus, you are farther behind than me because I'm going to play another guy and maybe this guy is going to come and hit you in the face. The reason why I say Dragon Lord Atarka is the best one as of right now is just because I've seen him being tested the most. People are like, oh, this guy is an 8/8 flying trampler that I can just vomit out of my deck with all these little creatures. I mean, with all these mana dorks and ramp and everything. Like I saw him get manifested by a Whispered Elemental and they just flipped him up for 7 and swung for 8. They didn't even care about the Bogard and Hellkite effect. They just like, I hit you with an 8/8 flyer. If you don't have an answer, then congratulations, you take 8.
That is pretty good.
There's obviously answers to him, but the decks that are in the meta right now, the only one that actually really has an answer to him is Abzan.
Right.
Because they're playing literally everything. Like green-white it'll have sideboard answers to him, but main board game 1, a flying 8/8 trampler. Congrats on trying to kill that thing. If he comes down super quickly, he'll just ping your ping your mana dorks off the board and leave you with like a Whispered Elemental. Don't get me wrong, you're left with a Whispered Elemental, but
at that point you have to cite in like
you have to cite in like
Banishing Light or Valor's Stance.
They have the Banishing Light in there and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's like they're also sideboarding their stuff in, and they're going to see your Mastery of the Unseen, and they're going to be like, oh, this Destructive Reverie right here looks really good against you. Or this, because they're playing their own enchantment removal, so I mean, like, who knows what will happen, but that's just like, Dragon Lord Silgar and Kolagon are good, but at the same time, I don't think they're, like, format breaking, just because Silumgar is fat and old, and the Drifting D was 100% better in my opinion. You have the cute thing of stealing somebody's Planeswalker and ulting it before they do, and you're just like, ha ha, suck it. And then Kolagon, like him, he can be in the right deck and still do something, but at the same time, he's a 6-man, like coming down before, like he'll come down after a dragon, Stormbreath Dragon or Thunderbreak Regent, and anything after him is also coming in with him because he gives she gives other things haste.
Right.
Also, you have the ability of like if they cast another creature that's already in their graveyard or a planeswalker, they just lose 10 life. Like how good would you feel if that thing if she actually dealt 10 damage to somebody?
You feel like you're 50% of the way to winning the game.
Or 100% because they're already at 10.
Fair enough.
Mind blown.
Mind blown. Oh, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's the possibilities are like out there.
Yeah.
Like, I've been brewing, and I'll come up with some stuff like for the next podcast and let you guys know what I'm doing. Seeing how I'm the only person that makes standard decks, and then I just lend them out to people because
Origins,
people
by the
just
way,
use me.
is gonna be the last time that we have like this many sets in a standard meta environment ever. So Dragons of Tarkir is the last time that we have the third set in the 3-block paradigm, and Origins will be the last core set, so it'll be the last time that we have all that stuff combined together. So this is kind of the end of an era. So I'm excited to see how having this many cards for a couple months in a standard environment is going to change everything, and we get a little bit of the beginning of the end here with Dragons of Tarkir.
Yep.
So we're excited. Yeah, this was a pretty darn good podcast. I'm glad we got to talk about GP Cleveland. Like I said, I know we had a ton of fun, and I really hope we get to do more stuff like that coming down the line, and we improve our records, and we put ourselves on the map. I'm really looking forward to it, and I cannot wait for the pre-release here in a couple days. So
Yeah, man, it's on Saturday.
I know. We're super stoked. So we are going to leave you guys for now. We're going to gear up for the pre-release. We're going to be back next week talking to you about how we do, how the cards played out, and hopefully we can see if any of the things we were talking about as far as these cards in Limited and maybe even Constructed actually turn out to be true. So any last words you guys have before we sign off here?
I love you all.
Oh, that's so kind, Jeremy. What about you, Nick? Any last words?
I don't have anything that can top that.
Oh, so you guys are too precious. Okay, well, you heard it from our mouths. We love you. And until next time, don't forget to keep playing better Magic. Thank you.